925 podcast back at it again with a
I'm about to yawn
banger
again.
episode. Go ahead. You need to yawn?
I'm
We got a
just
banger of an episode today.
tired.
We woke up early this morning to film with a very special guest. Excited for you guys to hear this episode. It's pretty fun. But before we get into that, you know, there's a lot of movement going on. A lot of
He just dropped the
real
him
busy.
video.
Him video just came out. Real busy
watch
lately. And for you guys that might also be busy in your own personal lives, Felicia, tell them what's a great way to stay fresh through all the stress.
Sticks and stones. Their products are bomb, and to use or remove the products, you don't need to use any water.
I mean, you're going to be looking so fresh that you're not even going to want to look at the camera. You're going to want to look at yourself in the monitor like Felicia's doing this whole ad. But yes, that is true. They do not use any water, just like how I had no water this entire weekend. It was just all
busy.
Jack Daniels. So, yeah, I got to flip that around though. Yeah.
You can rub in or wipe off every single one of their products. Perfect for on the go, whether you're hitting the gym or hitting the sideshow.
Hey, and you know we do love that, okay? Him video out now. But definitely go and check them out. All my 925ers, I want you to be careful out there with what skincare products you're using. Check out Sticks Stone Skin.
Check them out at hellagoodskincare.com. Use our promo code HELLA925. That's HELLA 925. The numbers 925 for 15% off your entire order.
And you guys enjoyed today's episode. We appreciate y'all. Thank you, Sticks Stone Skin. 925 podcast. I do not want to use this word lightly. People say legend a lot, right? Well, we got a real Bay Area legend. Got to talk to him a little bit last week on his stream. Casually had some Moon Mans on display on the shelf in the back. No big deal. 925. Help us welcome Colin Tilley. Let's go.
Let's go.
Man, appreciate you being here with us. It is an honor, pleasure, and crazy that you know, we even crossed paths recently.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's the coolest part about like what we're doing right now with, you know, the podcast and streaming and all of that. Like, it's really been an amazing way to motivate you know, these hangs and it's like, yo, let's connect live, let's do it, like, and we'll be productive while we're meeting, because like I've always wanted to meet you and I've always wanted to, like, you know, pick your brain on your process, and it was so cool to be able to do that through a live stream.
For sure.
Like,
yeah,
it's awesome.
Discord is becoming a very popular thing. You know, especially within the past year. It's always kind of been something for streamers and gamers to use as a way to, you know, communicate with things. And it's cool to see how it's almost taken a new life within the past year through, you know, NFTs and different communities like that. But yeah, we got to kind of hang out a little bit on his stream last week through Smiley Electric.
Yep.
And so
Smiley Electric.
When did you get this started?
So Smiley Electric was actually my grandfather in Berkeley's electrician company.
That's
so
fire.
he would
That's
roll
sick.
around with his electric truck, and it would have this logo on it. And this is actually his hat.
That's hard.
And yeah, so it's like, you know, and my grandpa was always somebody who really, everywhere he went, at grocery stores, whatever it was, like, he knew how to make people smile and make people laugh.
Yeah.
And I always admired that about him. And I think that, like, that was something that I always tried to bring into, you know, my work, and, you know, just uplift people with optimism, positivity, and being able to, you know, come on my sets and like have a great experience.
For sure.
And so it really has always represented, like, you know, just uplifting people. And, you know, ever since I got into the Web3 space, I really realized, you know, how amazing this technology is to be able to connect people around the world.
Yeah.
And that's why I decided to start Smiley Electric, because I'm like, you know what, like, I've always loved music. You know, I got into directing because I was obsessed with music, and I could not do it. You know, I tried to rap so many times at Niall's house. You know, we still have one song called Purple on the Block, and my rap name was Cutta.
Okay, bro.
Straight up. Still have
No
one
way.
song. It's me, Niles as Cyrano, and young ass Dylon.
Wow.
And
Wow.
it's all three of us on a track. And that thing still actually slaps because Niles can make anyone sound awesome.
Oh yeah.
But I got into it because I was like, I want to be connected with, you know, the art of making music. And I was obsessed with the process. I loved being in a studio. I loved watching people create. And I
Yeah.
loved the collaboration that was going on in a studio. And so I was like, well, how can I be a part of this in a different way, my own visual way? And so I picked up a camera and started shooting.
Amazing.
So fast forward 13, 14 years later, I've been doing this for a minute, bro.
Yeah.
I'm an OG
No.
at this point. Like, it's kind of scary.
This is like, you guys, if you aren't familiar with Colin Tilley, you're absolutely familiar with his videos. Like, we just dropped Him today, and so this is, you know, a nice little Him Tuesday over here. But we really have him in the building right now. Like, when it comes to directing, you're really him. And I think that it's just, you know, there's not a lot of people from the Bay Area, you know, where we're from, that really take it to the level that you've you know, made it to and built it up to. And so it's just, you know, it's really cool to see and inspiring, you know, for somebody like, you know, us, just to see that it's possible.
Thank you.
And I want to dive like just a little deeper back into that beginning time.
Yeah.
Because you know, my friend Calais, he had recently put me onto a video of yours by Young L and Young Squad. It's called
Yeah.
Firestart.
Yeah.
And so I want to kind of like get back into like those times,
Yeah.
freaking to my song. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? What was it that inspired you? You know, I mean, from there, like, you know, you're in the studio and everything. How did you get like access to like your first camera, you know, back in the day? And what kind of camera was it?
It was a VX2000,
Okay. Yeah.
and I was borrowing it from a friend.
This is the skateboard camera.
This is the
Correct?
skateboard
Yeah.
camera. And so that's the thing, is like, I grew up skateboarding, and so I was always like in front of the
Sick.
camera, and my friend Tito would shoot us. Like, and it was me, L, Stunna. Like, we had this whole skateboard squad that we'd roll around with, and we made a skate video called Casino.
Got you. Yeah.
And Tito filmed the whole thing and edited it. And like, basically, I smoked my first bit of weed with Tito while he was editing Casino.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know, I just remember I was so fascinated with, you know, the process and how artistic it was, being able to, you know, manipulate footage
Yeah.
that we were skateboarding on, and like add music to it, and like be able to create emotion on skateboarding.
Okay. Yeah.
And so then I think that was the first thing that kind of initially piqued my interest in like in the visual language behind, you know, music and video together. And then, you know, I basically had stayed close with like L and all those guys, like, through the process. We had a couple ups and downs.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, you might have like heard the stories, but literally, like, yeah, Elle and I actually got in a couple like pretty serious like fist fights in high school.
Okay.
Really?
And yeah, because we were best friends. Like, I used to, you know, stay the night over at his spot all the time, you know, at his mom's house, and we'd go skateboarding early out in, you know, your neck of the woods. We'd go skateboarding at the skate park and
Oh
stuff
yeah.
like that.
Yeah. He was telling me that on the stream, that he used to come out to Dublin and skate at our skate
What?
park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah.
where exactly from the Bay are you from?
I'm from Berkeley.
Nice.
Yeah. So you know, B-Town representer right here.
I love it. I love it. And so you're hanging out with Young L, like you're saying, and
Yeah.
you guys are skating. I did not hear that story about you guys getting into a fist fight.
So it's crazy, man. Like, you know, because, you know, we were in high school, and it was a very interesting time to be in high school, and, you know, want to like live the music life, but also be skateboarders at the same time. So I think all of us were kind of in this weird stage of like not trying to understand what our identity was.
I see. Yeah.
And you know, they like L was like the first cat to really walk around sporting Vans and also be like, yeah, I'm a rapper producer.
Yeah.
And like, so it was like a really crazy like kind of thing that probably wasn't the most popular thing at the time.
Okay. Yeah.
But I think, you know, him, Keith, and being all them, they were like the first ones to really make that thing cool. So, but anyways, with all that being said, we're in an interesting time because we're all growing together, but also separately at the same time.
Yeah.
And me and Elle got in a couple like really crazy fist fights in the middle of Berkeley High campus. Like, it was crazy.
That's nuts.
But it only made us that much closer because after a couple years of kind of pretty crazy conflict, all of a sudden we're out there shooting the Young L Moss video and the one with his brothers. Which one did you say it was?
Young Squad.
Yeah, the Young Squad, Firestarter,
Uh-huh.
and we were making so much cool art together. And it's one of those things. It's like, man, like that's who we all were. It's like, you get in a big fist fight, you're smoking a joint a couple minutes later on the roof, and that's how you basically make up.
Right,
And,
right.
it was just like that's how we all lived. We were skaters and obsessed with music, and so that kind of stuff didn't really matter.
It's funny how that like guys can get into a fist fight or yell at each other and then be completely cool the next moment.
Totally.
What's up with girls and when they get into arguments? Because it's like the opposite. They hold grudges.
Yeah, they'll be
Don't
a
talk to
vendetta
nobody.
for a long time. Like,
Yeah.
it'll be yeah.
Well, it gets a little freaky, but yeah. So you really got to see firsthand. Like, I mean, when you were in high school, it was during the hyphy movement.
Yep.
And so a lot of that music being made. I mean, Berkeley High specifically has stars. Like there's so many stars coming out of Berkeley High, especially around that time. You're getting to watch this all kind of like unfold, front row.
Yeah.
You got Barricade.
Well, I think that was the thing. It was like, when you saw the pack, blow up, I was in junior year of high school, and to all of a sudden see them traveling the world, their music videos on TV everywhere, you're like, oh, like they just did that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it kind of also makes it that much more realistic for you, where you feel like you can touch the world too in your own right.
Mhm.
And so then you look at Niles and David, and they were like, hey, well, we could do that too. And they were all of a sudden, putting their music all over the world as well as the Cataracts, and like the most cracking parties in the Bay Area were like the Cataracts performing. Like it was
Yeah.
like it was a movement. And so I think like I kind of always was like, I want to do that too. I want to be
Yeah.
able to touch the world. I want people to see my art. Like I want to, I want to make an impact. Like that's what I want to do with my life.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was like this thing that was subconscious in your head, but at the same time you're like just motivated to go do it because it's such a passion. You find this thing that you're good at and people recognize that. And even just one person saying that back or being like, hey, that was sick, I want to hire you to, shoot this video. You're not even really thinking about what that means at the time. You're just
feel
going in motion and you don't look back.
And especially it makes it a lot easier when you are really passionate about it and it's something that you love,
Yeah.
and that's just there. These videos though, these earlier ones, Freaking to My Song, Firestarter, like it's funny because at that point, how long had you been shooting videos for?
Like a year or two. Yeah.
And I don't.
That's crazy.
That's what's crazy to me is because like when I see those, like when I first started shooting videos, I couldn't get them to look anything close to that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's a couple guys in my high school that I was looking up to, but we really tried hard and like seeing like the Firestarter video and like the lighting and everything. Are you taking on that whole thing, or did you have friends that were like
Dude.
in camera classes with you?
At that point, it was still me, myself, and I going out there. I basically had bought a couple like shop lights from Home Depot. I was borrowing a camera,
Yeah.
and I was using my mom's Ford Escape as like
Holy
my dolly. And so I'd have like a homie come out and drive it while I'd hang out the sunroof or hang out the window, and I'd
Yeah.
have him like driving back and forth like you would on a techno crane or a dolly or whatever it was in order to make the shots. But I would watch other videos that I was like obsessed with, and Taj's work was one of those directors that I was really paying attention to because he was
Yeah.
from the Bay. He did Tracks a Million from the Hood. That video changed the game for me. Like I watched that video over and over because I was obsessed with the Jacka, and I
Yeah.
was like, bro, I want to do something like that. And so then it opened my eyes to all these other styles of directors and work, and I would basically just look at that and be like, well, I could do that too.
Yeah.
Let me figure out a way to do it, even though I was working with sense, and if there was a will, there was a way.
Man, and that's a gift though that you have. I think that like a lot of people might be able to figure it out, but there's sort of rhythm that you were able to, find through that I think is just in you. And it's cool because, you mentioned the Jacka and like you ended up getting to shoot, video for him, and like I think that's what's just inspiring too when you start seeing things, happen, that you're going after. So how does that transition happen from there? So you graduated high school. Did you go to college?
I graduated Berkeley High School. I went to University of Oregon for like, I barely made it through the year. And because I was roommates with my best friend in the world, Johnny Singervine, who's David's brother.
Yeah.
And we were roommates, and we basically just went to Oregon and literally partied way too hard. And literally he got kicked out within like, a couple months.
Amazing.
And but I still remember there was a very impactful moment, and we had basically like partied for like 3 days straight. And I remember we woke up at like 2 p.m. one day, and I look out the window and there's this dude named Dan that's still tripping off acid outside the window.
Amazing.
And because we were living in this really rowdy dorm at University of Oregon, and Johnny goes, "Man, I want to go to film school, bro."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Damn, film school. That sounds kind of tight." And then, shortly after, he got kicked out and ended up going to film school.
Yeah.
I ended up getting stuck in that dorm room by myself. And we basically, because we were like the corner unit, we became like the ultimate party spot where everybody would go through to our spot and like, hit the bong in the bathroom. And, it just was that spot. And I ended up just like, I had to drop out. Like it was about to become a disaster if I didn't leave.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And so that's when I went back to Berkeley, and I basically picked up a camera and started shooting for my friends.
Yeah. And so that, first of all, is exactly what I think going to college in Oregon would be like. Seriously. Very, very trippy out there. Definitely can get distracted easy.
Yeah.
And so you're back in Berkeley now. And what made the transition from the Bay to LA? Is that around that same time too when you get back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty much. I mean, I basically was shooting in the Bay for like, probably 6 to 8 months, and like really that's when I started to really pave my way as a director in the space, because everybody was still in Berkeley.
Okay.
So they were still grinding, like especially Niles, because Niles was the first one that said, "Hey, you should make a video for me." And so we did it in his mom's garage, and it wasn't even the Cataracts, it was just a Cyrano song.
Okay.
And it worked out so well somehow. Like I forget what even like happened, and then that's when we were like, "Hey, let's go do Murder, She Wrote" with Dave.
Yeah.
And that changed everything.
Got you. Yeah. Is this also around the time Bobby Brackens is starting to pop out a little bit too? I remember the video "Skinny Jeans." Is this around that same time, or does that come a little bit
shortly
later?
after? So it was like that was probably about a year after, because I was definitely heavy in the Bay for like at least a year, like doing a video or two a week, just all throughout, Oakland, from Beta Weeda to Shady Nate to Jay Stalin to all these cats that I was meeting, because I was in the studio with Niles and he'd be making songs for them.
Yeah.
And so then I'd just meet one person and like that. And then that's when actually I met Tyga, because he saw the Little B We Can Go Down video that made it on World Star.
Okay. Yeah.
And I did that when I was still living in the Bay as well.
Amazing.
But I think I was at that point doing the road trip back and forth from LA to the Bay literally every couple of days.
Just that mob down.
It
5.
was the mob and the Buick LeSabre, man. Like
I love
literally
it.
making it happen, like straight up. So no, it was a crazy time, and it feels like a blur, because it was just like you weren't really thinking about trying to create a career. You were just following something that felt right. Like I was literally chasing cats down for $200 a pop for a video.
Yeah.
Holy
But
fuck.
that was just to be able to pay for what I was trying to create in LA.
Right.
So it was just a really wild, time, like probably a couple of years of just nonstop.
Just movement, which is cool. And like getting to just experience that whole rise of music and everything, and being able to put the visual to it as well, I think is super important,
Yeah.
for that time and, all those artists.
Was your
Um,
first like bigger budget video with Tyga, or who was it with?
Yeah, so basically, like, Tyga hit me up and was like, because we had done like one or two smaller things, and but he hit me up to do Deuces, and he was
Holy
like, "Hey,
frick.
like I got this thing with Chris, like, do you
Yeah.
want to do it?" And it was like after kind of like the whole thing that happened with Chris, and so we did that. We did Deuces for $2,500.
Holy
And
frick.
which was crazy. We did that for $2,500, and that ended up being like the pretty much the thing that like was a transition moment for everybody. I mean,
Yeah.
you saw all of a sudden Chris and Tyga's career went berserks, even Kevin McCall.
yeah,
Everybody
yeah,
that was involved in that Deuces video, from my cinematographer Rob Witt to me as a director, like it
Mhm.
just kind of was one of those launching points, because then I had formed a really great relationship with Chris, and he was like, "Hey, let's go for a ride." And
Yeah.
literally over probably a 3-year period, we did almost 50 videos together.
yeah.
Holy.
We were going through a playlist on YouTube of all your videos, and there's a lot of Chris Brown in
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
A lot of like, holy frick, he did this one and this
Uh-huh.
one. Oh my god, and this one.
Yeah. No, you guys definitely got to go check it out. Look up Colin Tilley YouTube playlist, and you'll see like all of his great work. But yeah, that Deuces video was like viral. Like the
Yeah.
song, but also video was great, black and white,
Yeah.
beautiful. And so at this point, are you still editing everything too?
Yeah.
What are you using, by the way?
I was using Final Cut Pro at the time.
Final Cut.
Holy frick.
Got you.
Yeah, I was using Final Cut Pro. I loved Final Cut Pro.
What- Was this the 7? Because I remember there was Final Cut 7 or something like
Yeah,
that,
it
which
was.
now looks like Premiere. Like
Yeah.
Premiere has that. Okay, so that.
So it's crazy because like, and it wasn't until a couple years later that I finally made the transition, but I pretty much made the transition like, and I only had like another half a year of editing before I had to give up the sticks.
Got
know?
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then that's when I met Vinnie Hobbs, who's like been my guy for the last 6-7 years.
Yeah.
We've
Wow.
done so much work together.
Yeah, no, and so that it really helps out. Like when you got to grow at some point, it's about bringing a team in and finding somebody that you can work well with.
Exactly.
Did you meet him out here in LA?
Yeah, so I actually met Vinny in Berkeley. He was editing my best friend Johnny's film Licks, and he was
Oh, yeah.
editing that in Berkeley. And Johnny had basically called me down to the Bay Area and was like, "Hey, I'd really love your input on this edit, and where we can kind of take it." And we had like probably 4 or 5 nights of just pure editing with Vinny. And I remember what I was really impressed by was his ability to communicate with the director and have these really great critical conversations about scenes, and be able to really kind of dissect these scenes in a really cool way.
Yeah,
And at that moment I kind of realized, I was like, man, wouldn't it be nice to have somebody else that has a perspective on these things?
for sure.
And this was also at the same time that I started realizing how important it was to have a good team around me. And an interesting story is, I started out basically not wanting to give up any reins to the creative process. I
your
wanted to
whole
do
pie. Yeah,
everything.
Yeah,
And I don't know why. I think it was probably an ego thing, and also just like a lack of trust in anybody else.
yeah,
But both of my parents, they actually run a business together that they've been doing my entire life, where they essentially teach team building.
yeah, yeah.
And so they do that with different companies and high-level CEOs they basically work with on leadership. And so I'd basically been listening to these conversations most of my life, and then all of a sudden something clicked one day where I was like, you know what, I should probably open this up.
Yeah,
And I really realized the importance of a team. If you're trying to be a really great director, it's not about being able to have the best camera skills. It's not about being able to have the best edit skills. It's about being able to communicate your vision at an extremely high level. And
absolutely.
being a professional at delegating tasks at the craziest level.
Yeah,
And so, bringing Vinny on was one of those big moments. Bringing my first cinematographer on, Rob Witt, was one of those moments. And also bringing one of my first producers on was a huge moment,
yeah,
because all of a sudden there's now a real business structure with how all of this can be created. And people believed in what my vision was. And then we're able to take, my brand and say, hey, well, what we can do with this brand is way bigger than you are even thinking right now.
Yeah, yeah. And I also think too that it leaves, room and more time for you to do what you're best at.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And each individual role, they can really just dial in on, and everybody can, take care together. Which is awesome. Yeah, I think that that's definitely going to be a clip, for sure after this. Like that, I think that's super important.
Yeah, man. Well, I think it's important for so many people to understand that, because we are in a space right now where it's so easy to do everything on your own, but like what I think is really important that people concentrate on is the fact that we can connect so easily now through all of this different technology, and you can create massive business structures by connecting.
Yeah.
And by, getting people who are great at what they do and putting all of them together, no matter what your business is, that is the real key to success. And that is the real key to making something that can really grow, because people are taking a vision and putting their best foot forward into that thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Teamwork, people, makes the dream work.
It really does.
Growing up, did you ever have like a 9 to 5?
I had one 9 to 5.
What was it?
2 9 to 5s.
That's a great question.
But well, actually, never like a 9 to 5. In high school, I basically was like a bar back at a restaurant
Nice.
called Lo Cocos in Berkeley,
Okay.
and hella good pizza, by the way.
Is it still there?
And it is still there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
It's-
interested.
Yeah, no, it's popping. They have this incredible Alaska fettuccine where it's like smoked salmon on the. Oh my god, man! I probably gained at least 10 pounds working there straight
love
up.
that.
It's like, and then another where I was working at the Gardener,
Yeah.
which is basically like a high quality like home goods store. Now,
Gotcha.
this was like one of the most like kind of probably lowest points in my life, because I started working there. And I was working the back, and I was kind of like putting boxes away and stuff in the back. They basically didn't want to show my face on the main floor.
Man.
And once they realized that like I wasn't really that useful in the back, one day they said, "Hey, we want you to go over to the warehouse and do some weeding down the street." And this is on 4th Street in Berkeley. I was like, "All right."
That's crazy.
And I literally, like, one guy takes me over there, and I start weeding the back of this warehouse where I'm like, dude, no one's probably ever stepped foot in this alleyway that I'm weeding right now. This doesn't make any sense. And I just kind of like had that really like low point moment where I was like, I'm literally nothing to these people.
Yeah.
I'm going to walk away right now. And I walked home and I never came back. They never even called me either, being like, hey, where'd you go? It was like super humiliating. And I remember like
That's
finally like 5 years later,
crazy.
like once I finally started getting a couple bucks, like I walked in there and like bought the most ridiculous things ever. And I was like, you remember me? I used to work here. I was in the back, like da-da-da. And I like probably bought like a $100 basket, but I thought it was like so cool.
Yeah.
I was like, man, what?
Man, that's shady though.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
There was we were talking about restaurants in Berkeley. There was one that we used to go to a lot called Blake's. I think it was called Blake's. Do you remember that?
Blake's.
It might have been on Telegraph. I
Yeah,
wanna say
yeah,
was
yeah.
on
It was
Telegraph.
Blondie's or Blake's?
Blondie's was there
Okay,
also.
Blondie's was
the
there.
pizza was good. But there was a spot that my dad and my mom would take me to all the time out there
Okay.
called Blake's.
I know the name. I'm just not. It's not clicking right
yeah,
now.
no,
Yeah.
and that's been gone for a little bit too.
Okay.
But,
What's that?
Yeah.
What's that one spot? The burrito spot in Berkeley.
Gordo's?
Oh, Gordo's.
Yeah.
Gordo's represent.
Look,
Which,
yeah.
by the way, I can't eat anymore. Every time I try and eat like a Gordo's burrito, I literally fall asleep after. And it's just like, you have to. It's like the worst food coma of all time. So
Yeah.
it's like I wish I could still do Gordo's, but like, I still got appreciation.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think that's a solid burrito. But
Yeah.
it is also debatable in the Bay Area burrito conversation.
What's the other comparable?
Like you gotta everybody says like in the city, like El Farolitos, in Mission District, and that's one that I've got to try recently.
Really,
That-
I haven't never
that
heard
is
of it.
fire.
I might
Yeah.
have to give that a shot.
But
You
I-
could take me to any burrito spot, and I'm gonna think it's good.
oh,
Like you
yeah,
put
it's just
anything
like
in tortilla, and I'm like, yeah.
As long as they got good hot sauce, that's you're
Yeah,
fine.
or like-
you can have cold beans and good salsa and you're fine. You're good.
That's actually a great point. That might be why some of my favorite taco spots here are my favorites because of the salsa.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I will stand up and say, I think that Gordo's has good burritos. I'm not afraid to say that. Yeah.
Especially because they're verde salsa though.
Come on.
Like, that's the thing. It's like you gotta get the extra cup of verde on the side.
I need a burrito.
And then just pour it on each bite. As you go.
It has to be each bite too.
And if you ain't sweating, you ain't eating. Let's be real. Like you got to be just dripping out the face after, man. Or else it's not the real deal.
Working in a creative space, I feel like parents are like, kind of like, what's the word? Like kind of don't believe sometimes in the vision. Were your parents ever like that? Were they all like, no, go do what you want to do?
I was really lucky. My parents were like definitely like Berkeley hippies. And, obviously would have loved it if I went to college and did that whole thing. But I was just always very different my whole life. Like it was like teachers basically, going to my mom all the time being like, this guy's got ADD. He's got to be in a special program and, all that stuff. And my mom was always like, nah, like he just likes to be outside and, run around and climb trees. Like, what's the big deal? So like, I was always very, very lucky to have them support it. And when I said, hey, I want to like pick up a camera and do this, I don't want to go to school anymore. When I said I wanted to drop out of school after they paid for a year of me to go to University of Oregon, they were like, all right. They were a little worried for sure.
Yeah.
But, I think that's what kind of has made it all that much sweeter is like the fact that it did work.
Yeah.
And, there was never any resistance, and now our relationship is just like, awesome. Because we can really vibe on that. Like I love being able to call my dad and call my mom and talk to them about, business strategy and making new moves. And, it's like they're really, really great bouncing boards for me now at this point, which is like they're the main people I trust when it comes to making a big decision or a big move.
I love that. Yeah, man, that's important, especially, having a good relationship with your parents. I think that's something that I've been thinking about a lot as I get older. It's just how important that time is just to get to spend with them. I feel like as time goes on, it feels like it's moving a lot faster now. You know what I mean?
A lot faster.
Yeah, so that's awesome that you guys are close like that.
Take those trips to the Bay to see fam. It's so important.
Oh yeah.
It's like there's times where I'm going up there almost every weekend just to be able to spend some time with my parents and my nephew and my sister.
Good, yeah.
Because it's kind of crazy having a nephew now. He's a year and a half, and it's
sure.
like I'm like looking at this little dude like, oh my God, this is so cool. How did I like fall in love with this little dude?
I know.
This is so cool. Never thought it would happen, but it's like, it's just a beautiful experience,
Uncle Colin.
Uncle Call, man.
Come on.
Uncle Call. That's what he calls me.
Is that it? Yeah. No, I love that.
I'll get little videos where he goes, I love you, Call. I love you, Ruby. I love you, Nacho. And I'm like, like,
that's precious.
Yeah, it's amazing.
No, that's even just, getting to be an uncle and experience like that new life too. It's more incentive to, get out there.
Yeah.
Do your parents so now obviously like you work with like huge artists. Sometimes I'll mention like an artist that I have somewhat correlation to and my parents are like, okay. Do your parents like grasp like you mentioned like if you were like Cardi B and it's like, holy frick, like Tessa's that touched you, huge artist. But then like, do your parents like are like, oh, nice.
Like understand like how big it is.
Yeah.
They, it's funny because they don't really react a lot. They are kind of used to it at this point. They mostly are like, hey, I heard you're doing this from somebody else. Like, like they like, people talk. And so, or they'll see a cool article or something like that. But I always tell them about stuff that I'm doing. And it's more of just like, they enjoy it from like seeing me just excited and happy. But like the only time they've ever been like super pumped and I had them come to set was when I got to work with Steph Curry last year on the Under Armour commercial.
Yeah.
My parents got to come to set and meet Steph, and like that was one of those moments where I was looking at my dad, I'm like, I could tell he's pumped up right now, but he's totally playing it cool. Like it was a really it was like a rewarding moment for me as like a son to be able to be like, hey, like meet Steph, like
for sure.
Yeah.
So that's sick.
Cool. Can we jump back in a little bit to the timeline of,
Yes.
Deuces going viral and, that kind of helping you put on, your team and everybody. Where do you go from there? At that point, are you living in LA or are you still in the Bay?
Yeah, so at that point I'm full-time living in LA.
Yeah.
I'm like building a really, really strong team around me from, a mixture of cats from LA that I was meeting that were just really interested in the movement. And then also, excuse me, simultaneously, bringing on cats from the Bay that I loved.
Yeah.
And so like, that was kind of our thing. Like, it was all about, I had so many friends moving out to LA at the same time. And there was like this real energy in the air where we were all kind of like hustling and doing our different things. But there were people that were really smart and were like, hey, I'd love to come work with you.
Yeah.
And let me figure out where I can help. Let me figure out where I fit into this scenario.
Yeah.
And those people are the ones that are still with me to this day. They were never like, hey, I deserve this spot. They were like, let me come on set, let me PA, or I see that you're you need help with your writing. You suck at like being able to put together sentences, but like I know your vision and I can help you write this thing. Or, whatever it was. There were so many of those different scenarios, and those are people that I work with still to this day that, are like a big factor in my process.
Yeah.
And that was really cool to be able to do.
No, for sure. Especially seeing somebody's character like that in the beginning. It's just like going back to the team thing. Like you really got to have people that, you trust and want to be around.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Now, also, it was also the type of situation where people came and it didn't work out, and they were still my great friends. But like
Yeah.
homies came through, and like I'd go down the elevator and they'd be asleep on a chair,
Holy
while people are carrying, C-stands right by them, and they're like asleep on the thing. I'm like, he ain't coming back, but I love him, but he ain't coming back. We'll pay him
Right.
today, but he's not coming back. Like, he's
Yeah.
not gonna be a factor here. So
No.
it's like there was plenty of those scenarios where it didn't work out with friends, and I'd be like, all right, cool. Hey, look, you're not meant to be in the business right now. It's all good.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's some people got it in them, some people don't.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think that it's important to have people that you can trust, and just seeing the passion in them as well too. I think is makes a good team.
Make sure y'all go stream him right now. It's that time. Make sure you stream him. It's live. We just uploaded it on
Let's
YouTube.
go.
Make sure you check that out. Hot video.
Man,
let's go.
thank you. That was really cool to get to play that for you on stream. I appreciate you watching that.
Yeah, that was
last
hella
week.
tight.
Colin got the first cut of
Yeah.
him, and I appreciate you just kind of like.
Wait, it was
overseeing it.
awesome.
Man,
yeah,
thank
it was
you.
super impressive, and I love this. I love the song. I love the video. I love you on top of the car while it's doing donuts. I think that's just awesome. So like, yeah, keep that energy going, bro. That's
Yeah.
what we need.
No, I'm trying to channel, my early 2000s Colin, 2010s
Love that.
Colin. I'm trying to
Love
get in
that.
there, get creative. But I was gonna ask you, has there been a favorite place to film? Because I know that
That's a good
you've been
question.
around a lot, getting to travel for these music videos. Is there a certain
Yeah.
city or like a set that you've been to?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I just got back from Hawaii shooting this fashion show for a French brand called Jacquemus.
Okay, yeah.
Jacquemus.
Hey,
I don't know how to pronounce it still,
Bonjour.
but it's there.
Yeah,
And so that was kind of one of those dream jobs where I'm like, damn, I get to be in Hawaii prepping for like 9 days out here, and every day I'm going to this dreamy location and I'm talking about it as my set. Like, that's kind of crazy.
oh yeah,
So that was definitely a blessing. And then I went to New York and it was a really hard job, and I'm like, all right, this is work. But so that was awesome. I've really been lucky to go damn near most places in the world. And I think of all the places that I've been, one of my favorite places to shoot is, Spain is really an amazing place to shoot.
yeah.
I got to shoot in Thailand. Really a lot of really great places, man.
Yeah. What about
Prague. Most recently, I shot the Halsey movie in Prague.
That's fire.
And that was really special because we were shooting in these castles from like the early 1500s that were still like, oh, bro, it was unreal crazy and also really spooky.
Oh yeah, because you get in there and you sort of start to feel the age of that building.
Dude, 1,000,000%. We were not. It was in the kind of dead of winter too, and Halsey was pregnant. Like, she was 5 months pregnant, left 6 months pregnant, and we weren't allowed to turn on like heaters inside of the castles because there was like artwork that was so old that they were afraid it would melt if it was at a different
Oh
temperature.
my.
Oh wow.
So
Yeah.
she was over there thugging it out in like these like, dresses and stuff like that, like where we all have like,
Like
5,
coats.
6 layers of coats on, like, and like,
Oh
you know,
man.
Jeez.
all that stuff underneath. And it was just one of those experiences where it was like next level.
Yeah.
But it was by far probably one of the more magical experiences I've had shooting, because when you're doing like a period piece like that and you get to shoot in these old castles, that you get transported. You're living
Oh
it
yeah.
as you're shooting it. So it's really like you can't lose, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
100%. You know what made one of your videos that made me feel like it take me back was the Post Malone Circles one. I
Dope.
really felt like I
Dope.
was in there. Yeah, no, solid video.
Yeah, that was special too, man. Definitely love creating worlds. That's my favorite thing to do, and really be able to transport the audience. And that day was literally probably 98 degrees in the middle of Los Angeles. And Post Malone had this extremely heavy, um, you know, uh,
The
outfit
armor.
on. Yeah, the
Yeah.
armor and all
Yeah.
of that's medieval armor. And dude was like burning up. But if you took it off, it would take like an hour to take it off.
Oh wow.
So I'd be
yeah.
like, bro, like, don't take it off. We got to go to this next shot. And he literally just thugged it out all day.
Wow.
And probably hates me now from that video because literally like we created a lake in this space and like had him go in the lake in the armor that was super heavy, and he got stuck in the lake.
Oh my
His
gosh.
boots sunk in and he got like stuck in the lake, and it could have been really dangerous, honestly, because like he's like in the lake, and if you fall, it's like quicksand.
Right. What? Whoa. Okay, so you're in the middle of a take,
Yeah.
and he's out there, and
I'm like, walk out to the lake and like we're gonna do this scene with you like knee deep in the lake where you're trying to find something.
And so does he just turn around and go, hey, I can't get out?
He thugged it out all the way, but then like we cut the take and it's like, I'm stuck. And
my
he couldn't
God.
walk back. So we had to like get a team out there to like, but it was some pretty crazy stuff, man. I feel like we were in like, one of those crazy Discovery Channel shows or something.
Yeah, yeah.
like-
Man, no, that does sound scary. Hey, I'm glad he's all right though. Yeah,
Yeah.
the video turned out good.
Me too, man.
Yeah.
Me too.
One of the ones I seen you at the Universal Backlot, a couple of videos.
Yeah.
3 times.
Yep.
Next to you.
Yep.
That's a cool place over there.
It is cool.
I got to go through the tour a little bit, a
Yeah.
couple times over there. But what's it like getting to work over there? It's just
It was more of like a benchmark, but like honestly, shooting there, you have to have so much money in order to be able to transport it, like really transport the audience to where you're like, oh, that's the Backlot, right? Like it's
Yeah.
like movies that shoot there are spending weeks just to dress those scenes to make them look like a real city street, putting
Yeah.
up massive green screens that are like bigger than my house in order to like then be able to comp in the rest of like a city, or like to be able to expand the depth of the city. And so it's definitely like a real challenge to shoot there because you're working with like a very kind of stale looking backlot, and then you have to be able to dress it up and be able to do all this stuff to it. So it's
Got
definitely
you.
like a challenge. you know?
Yeah. So today, what's it like? What is the process like when you get to shoot a new video? How does that even start? Like from the artist, or does an artist pick you directly, or are you talking with the labels? How does that process begin?
Basically, my phone's on, and the last 4 years, it's really been, since I started Boy in the Castle, I really realized how important it is just to solidify these relationships and just have a good track record. People talk about the experience working with me, and then they'll like the videos most of the time, I would hope. And people just call me. And so basically it's like, yeah, like I'll get an email or a text or a call from an artist, and we'll hop on the phone and chop it up and see, kind of what their vision is for, the project, or how they want me to put a spin onto their song
Yeah.
or whatever it is. And at this point in my life, I've gotten very used to talking business and having to say no when it just isn't going to work out, and it's
Yeah.
all good, like as long as you're doing it in the right way and just being transparent. It's always better to be upfront about stuff than trying to beat around the bush. I learned that a long time ago,
Got
rather
you.
than trying to make everybody happy.
Uh,
And
I'm gonna make a note of that.
it's
for
it's
myself.
important.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like, it's when somebody reaches out for a feature, or somebody reaches out, to get you to produce something or whatever it is. It's like, yo, there's only so much time in the day. You have a certain brand that you're trying to create. I had always dreamed of being able to create a brand where like there's a certain level of video that I can only do.
Yeah.
And so it's like people actually know at this point not to call unless they have a specific amount of money to be able to shoot. Not that it's always about the money, but there is a certain level of production I'm always trying to create
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
order to be able to up the ante every time.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I just enjoy those. I enjoy those conversations from a business side. And I also really enjoy the creative conversations because, the artists that I get to work with at this point in my career have true visions and
Yeah.
are, visionaries for where they want to go with their album, with their branding, what they're trying to represent for themselves as an artist,
Yeah.
where they're trying to take it, what kind of stories went into making that album. And that's kind of the kind of questions I'll usually ask. It's not usually like, well, what kind of video do you want? It's like, what's going on right now?
Okay. Yeah.
And, like I love, interviewing cats. Like I love being able to ask good questions, and the key to great conversation is good questions.
Yeah.
And so that's really how I do my research when I'm creating a concept with somebody.
Yeah, which is cool. And like, I think obviously, talking about your brand and trying, the level of production that you're at, I think that everybody also respects that. They know what it is, and
Definitely.
when to reach out for sure.
And it's been a journey, like there's definitely plenty of, harder conversations that I've had to have over the years. And, as long as you handle those conversations great, it's awesome. I actually literally 2 days ago, I rehired, my rep that I hadn't been working with for 4 years.
Yeah.
So I could have somebody that handles that side of the business because I'm so invested into, getting some of these Web3 projects off the ground. I like can't even really answer my emails right now. So I'm like, hey, like I want to make sure that I'm not falling off of doing music videos that I really love. That's my main like source of income, and that's my main brand as an artist.
Yeah.
So how do I create balance? And so I've hired a lot of new people over the last couple of days to basically like, start to sell me.
Got you.
Which
Yeah.
I've never done.
Okay. Yeah.
So it'll be kind of exciting, new kind of, chapter to my career.
There you go. Yeah. No, that's awesome. Is there are there any projects that you're working on or any videos coming up that you're excited about that you can talk about?
Honestly, I like right now I'm not really working on any particular videos. Like I'm doing mostly like I'm conceptualizing stuff for like brands and like commercial stuff.
Yeah.
And just been doing heavy development on a couple films that I'm really obsessed with, that I have set up at different studios. And the process is a long process. So like you can be developing a film for several years before it
Yeah.
shoots.
Oh,
And
really?
so
Yeah.
so it's a pretty intense process.
No,
Um,
what do you mean by that? Like what's going into it?
so you will oftentimes get sent a script from a studio or producer or whatever it is, and then I'll basically be like, well, I really like where you guys are going with this, and then I'll do my own pitch on the movie as a
Got you.
director. What's my vision on it, because I don't write film.
Yeah.
And then basically then we'll either work with that writer on doing my version of the script of the way that I see it, from a directorial standpoint, or we'll hire on a new set of writers to basically, communicate that vision in a really cool way.
Got you. Yeah.
But then that's step one. Then you have to get casting on board, and then you have to get the funding on board if it's not already in place. Sometimes that funding is in place, but you have to get the right cast on board in order to make it happen.
Got you.
So
Okay.
there's just so many different factors, in the
The
realm
process.
of being able to
Yeah.
make it happen. So it's a very rewarding and gratifying process, but you ain't shooting that movie until you're on set.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I've been developing movies for 5 years, and I'm really looking forward to that day to be able to like actually put one of them into action.
That's crazy.
That'd be
it seems like a lot of times in our world of music, even today with like DistroKid and things like that, you can create something and put it out almost immediately.
Yeah.
Like we could put something out that we made last night.
Yeah.
But like 5 years to get to start shooting. I think that still like the quality always comes through.
Yeah.
Even going back to like seeing somebody work on an album and take their time with it, I think will always still continue to cut through. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's insane. I actually didn't realize that it took that that long.
It's a process, especially for like a first time film director. Like I think that for a long time, I was really focused on getting the stuff that we were making like in house with some of my best friends, as far as the screenplays that they were creating, and so I was really focused on making sure that those were the ones that I was doing first, because they were such a unique vision.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was also like, well, I don't know if somebody's actually going to give me a shot to put all this money into something that like, I haven't done a film before.
Yeah.
So over the last couple of years, I've definitely started to like open it up and be able to be like, well, I clearly haven't got one of these made. I'm going to make one of these films, but I probably got to do one of these studio driven films, or a film that's already set up first, in order to prove myself and my voice as a feature film director, because it's a totally different skill set. Being able to tell a long form story.
Yeah.
Then, like, yeah, sure, I shoot a couple narrative videos sometimes and, tell a story in 3 to 5 minutes, but like it's a very different skill set to create an act 1, act 2, act 3 structure and make people really feel something from those characters.
Which is awesome, and it's exciting to to get to expand what you've already been building.
There's no cap to creativity, and you can continue to reinvent yourself. You can continue to create new challenges, and we're very challenge-based individuals. That's why we're here right now.
Yeah.
Like this is like a fun thing to do. That's like also part of our brand, part of our career, part of our journey.
Absolutely.
And it's the coolest part.
Absolutely. You gotta ask him the confident question that you wanted to know.
I don't know the exact line from it, but the part in Confident by Justin Bieber,
Yeah.
where it's like a Takis ad and it's like, let me talkie to you. Whose idea was that? 'Cause
So
it's almost like the best part of the video, but then also like, what?
oh, it's the best and the worst. It's all
yeah,
good.
yeah.
I mean, look, for product is a huge part of the music video like kind of culture now.
Yeah.
At this point, these products are paying a lot of money to be able to fund these videos at a high level, and that was one of those where I was like, damn, this is so ridiculous. I got to put talkies into this freaking video.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, let me just lean into it and make it really funny.
No,
And,
yeah.
like just kind of but by the way, I want to actually tell you that I set up the scene, but Justin fully freestyled that.
Oh, really?
Justin fully freestyled that, and it was definitely at an interesting point in his life. And
Yeah.
So he was definitely on his like, super JB, like, going wild stuff.
Yeah.
And he really freestyled that. I remember I was like
Yeah.
dying behind the monitor on it. I was like, yo, we are keeping that. That's making the cut.
Yeah.
And it was kind of perfect.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I think it did work out really good.
Taki's sales went
Really?
boom after that. No, I don't know.
No, hey, they probably
I
did.
literally wouldn't believe that.
I don't think that I had heard about talkies until that video. I think that was
Crazy.
my first time
I
hearing about 'em.
don't really think I did either. I'm not a big chip guy, but
Yeah.
I'm a big chipper guy, but
Eh.
not a big chip.
We got my stuffed animal dog in here. His name is Chipper.
Yeah.
Have you ever had like a disaster on set that like ruined a whole video?
Yeah.
Besides like,
Or, like-
almost taking out Post Malone.
Besides almost taking out Post Malone, I mean, yeah, I mean, oh my gosh, like, okay, so there was one last year. Like, I'm always trying pretty crazy stuff, that's what keeps it really exciting.
Yeah.
But well, there's been like throughout the years, there's been car crashes, there's been mess ups on stunts, there's been I saw Ty Dolla $ign the other night, and one of the first videos I ever did with him was Toot It and Boot It.
Oh,
And I was like,
wow,
bro, by
yeah.
the way, like, and he was like, yeah, that was our big moment. Da 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 da. And I was like, well, it's crazy because after that video shoot, we were shooting at this big ranch. We realized somebody had stolen the hard drive to the video from like YG's camp. And so we
What?
had to basically create like a barricade at the front entrance of the ranch and individually check each car.
you
And
find
the
out who it
word
was?
was getting out, and so then somebody actually went and returned the drive because they realized what they had stolen,
What the?
anonymously. But that was like one of those like hilarious set moments, right? Where you're like, I can't believe somebody stole the hard drive to like this video. It's wild.
Yeah, well, I wonder what
What was the
what was
reason?
the intention there? They were gonna be like, "Nah, I'm cutting
Just
this
turn it
video."
up. Just turn it
gonna be
up.
the
Like,
editor.
yo, hard drives. Like, let's get it. Like, those are
What
worth
the-
a couple hundred.
Yeah.
So like that's just like a really funny one from back in the day. But like also like, dude, last year there was like a really scary moment when I was with J Balvin. Like J Balvin is like one of my super good friends. We got to do the entire Caloris album together. We got to do the entire joint him and Bad Bunny album together. I actually didn't really even understand how big that was when I was doing it because I was just kind of starting to get into reggaeton. I had just worked with
Yeah.
him on Loco Contigo with DJ Snake,
Mhm.
and he called me after and was like, hey, bro, like, you want to keep working together? And I was like, yeah. He's like, all right, I'll meet you in Puerto Rico. Let's do this song. And then
Yeah.
and then we ended up doing every song off of that album,
Yeah.
which was really crazy. And then he was like, hey, let's do all of Caloris together and really make it feel, just like this really sound piece that's like super intentional. So we were doing the Gray video, and I wanted to do this scene where he was in this room that we had built, and the place starts basically filling with water while he's in there. And
jeez.
we had basically put this rig together where the water truck was above the set and then would basically pour through vents in the walls and start to overflow the room. And something had happened with the set piece, the way that they had built it, where it wasn't structurally sound the way that it should have. And the
no.
water is extremely heavy.
Yeah.
And so during the take, the actual the set piece kind of caved in. And luckily J Balvin was standing in front of like the kind of roof set piece that it was in, but like it crashed down so fast.
Holy.
And like the whole but he still kept it together and embraced the entire take as all of the entire place was kind of falling apart around him. And then after his like, yo, bro, and I was like, I know. And
Yeah.
but like, so there's just those moments that are on set where it's like, you have all the safety protocols, you have all the stunt team, you have all the most professional builders, but there's always chance for something a little bit more dangerous to happen.
Yeah.
Now, it wasn't the end of the world, but it was still one of those moments where it's like, yo, like stuff happens.
Yeah. Did that take end up making it into the video?
There's like, you still see when the water pours in, and like I think you can see like there's like pieces of the wall like floating in the water and stuff like that, so it looks like it was meant to be.
Yeah.
But just from a behind the scenes standpoint, it was like a pretty scary moment,
For sure. Yeah. Man, it also the song being called Grave.
Gray.
Oh, I thought you said grave at
Now,
first.
that
I was
would be
like,
fucked up.
no, yeah,
But,
because that was what was freaking me out. He's like,
Yeah.
an accident happened on a song called Grave. I was
Yeah,
like,
it was for Greece.
Gotcha.
Grave.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Are there, so just like you said, like J Balvin is like somebody that's just hitting you up, like, you just got a relationship with, and you guys have made great videos together. Are there other artists that you feel like, stand out that you just have good, connection with, that you guys just like
For
work
sure.
well?
I mean, Justin Bieber, man, like we've been working together since he was 14 years old. So we've been working together for over a decade together.
Yeah.
Like literally like when JB wasn't even quite JB yet, like when I was doing Never Let You Go in the Bahamas.
Holy
Bro.
And
bro.
I remember seeing him
In the
perform for the
aquarium?
first time in the aquarium.
Yeah.
I remember seeing him perform for the first time. Like there was a lot of fans. There was like a packed small theater, and like they were like chasing him down the hotel, and I was like, I've never seen anything like this before. This is
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like Baby came out, and it was like Justin was the biggest pop star in the world.
right.
That's crazy.
I was still pretty new to directing at the point, so like the label didn't actually trust me to shoot Baby Baby and a couple of those bigger singles, and
Wow, yeah.
to where I was like, damn, like they really counted me out this time. But then as Justin got, you know, more and more in control of exactly what he wanted to be doing, that trust and friendship was always there. And so, you know, especially on this last Justice album, like it was me and him talking on every step of the way, and him making all of the decisions. And you know, it's pretty impressive to see somebody like Justin that has, you know, been in front of the limelight for so long and has, you know, really, you know, turned out to be one of the more amazing people that I know. You know, he really is one of those true leaders. You know, even the way that he like carries like his tour now, and the way that he you know, uplifts everybody and makes sure that every single person, from the guys that are setting up first thing in the morning to his dancers that are performing with him on stage at night, that he is letting them know, you know, how important they are to
Their
his
love.
process.
Yeah.
And it's just like, man, it is the most like inspiring thing to see him like lead that entire operation, from his artistry level to like his like actual business mind, and just being a straight up positive leader, knowing that it could have gone any other direction because of the level of, you know,
Yeah.
fame that he has. But then to be able to see him be this dude where on set, like he literally will start the day off and hop on my microphone. I have a God mic on set, where I basically like direct talent and be able to talk to everybody.
Yeah.
He'll hop on the mic and basically start the day off with like a speech, talking to all the crew, thanking everybody for
Wow.
being there. And then
Wow.
at the end of set, he'll go and individually shake each person's hand, thanking them. And it's like, that is the level of like talent and respect that you get from somebody at that level. And so for him, I'm always like, bro, even if I'm doing movies, like call me, I'll take the weekend off and shoot a video for you, because it's a special experience, and it's
Yeah.
so cool to be involved with something like that.
Man, that is really good to hear. Seriously.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like you said, you know, that around that confident time, there was you know, he was going through it a little bit, you know, from what we saw on the outside. We
course.
don't even know like really what it was, but you know, I think that like you're right. You know, he's come a long ways, and
Yeah.
that's really great to hear.
Yeah.
But what is there a favorite video that you guys have together? Does one stand out?
I mean, most recently we did this one called Ghost with Diane Keaton, and being able to work with Diane, like,
Yeah,
and Justin together was like kind of one of the coolest like experiences ever.
for sure.
You know,
He just was sick.
and again, it's just one of those things where it's like when you have that comfortability on set with somebody that you're so close to, you know, you can like, it's never like a weird thing to like, push it, like,
Yeah.
and like, as far as the way that I can direct somebody, when you have that open communication with somebody, I can throw ideas at him and also not be afraid of him denying something.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
same with him the other way around. And, you just live for relationships like that where there is no uncomfortability on set. I've worked with artists before where it's like, they refuse to listen to anything I say. And I'm like, well, all right, cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, this will probably be our last one. It's all good. Like,
Yeah.
it's okay. I'll take a walk around the block. You want to call action? Like,
Yeah.
cool.
That's
So,
crazy. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think that it's fun because of course there's gonna be people like that you're gonna cross paths with, but like you said earlier, when you're finding your team and everything too, it's just like, okay, I know where I can be at and where I
Exactly.
can't.
Exactly.
But hey, do you know a band called The Story So Far? They're from Walnut Creek.
I don't.
Okay.
Should I be checking them out?
They're really, really good. Yeah. They're fire. But I was gonna say that there was one video that you did for Justin. It was the one with DJ Khaled.
The Let It Go?
No.
The one after that. But Chance was on it too, though. It was Chance.
I think that was before Let It Go.
It was the mustache Justin Bieber.
Yeah, it was the mustache Justin. Well, it was like
He-
behind the scenes of the movie set. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say just he looked
the-
like in that video that he could be the singer of like a pop punk, like
Crazy.
like band, like The Story So Far. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, it was good. We were watching that one yesterday too.
What freaking song was that?
I can't remember the name of it.
I remember there being a really big Fashion Nova ad in it though.
Oh, yeah.
I remember
There it
shooting
is.
that, and I was like, oh god.
There we go.
Like
From
we-
Takis
I
to
definitely
Fashion Nova.
saved that Fashion Nova shot for the last thing of the night. To where I was like, okay, cool. Like I like we're gonna do this right now. Well, Khaled, get on the golf cart. We'll figure it out. Let's do it.
Have there been like any videos where you shoot the whole thing and it's like fire and then it just never came out?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yo, the
say-
boyfriend video, the original Justin Bieber boyfriend video. I shot, massive video. Obviously was a massive song.
Yeah.
And dude, like there was problems with the I actually don't actually know what the problem was because it was a really great video. But like I'm actually like it was just one of those things where I'm like all of a sudden they're like, hey, we're shooting a different video. And then they shot
Yeah.
the one with Director X and it came out, won a VMA. And I was like, damn. I remember I was really like, you know, those are some of those moments in life where you're like, you know, it really messes with your like, you know, insecurities and
Yeah.
like, you know, just level of confidence because I had no clue why.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know, I take this so seriously.
Yeah.
And you know, I had spent countless nights editing that thing trying to get it perfect. And I thought it was one of the more fire videos and I was like, damn.
When you saw the one that they ended up going with, how did you feel about it? Like,
Well, naturally, I was hating on it because I was like, man, fuck that video.
Yeah,
But like, you know, when I look at it now, I'm probably like, yeah, that was probably like a good decision. Like maybe the one that I was doing might have been even a little bit too mature for his audience at that time.
interesting. Oh, so
yeah,
it was like that.
Yeah, like, you know, I was always trying to like push it. So
Yeah.
I think it was like a safe video, what they had created.
Yeah.
And yeah, but I was like super bitter, of course. I was like, man, fuck that video. Like that shit weak. But
Right.
but so yeah, it was just like, yeah, it was crazy. Well, the craziest part about it is he had gone on Ellen and premiered the first 20 seconds of my video first.
Oh,
And
what
so I
the-
was hella hyped to like, you know, have that piece come out because I felt like it was fire. So now when you actually turn on the boyfriend video, the first 20 seconds is my video that I shot, and then it restarts and it's the Director X one.
What the?
Interesting.
Yeah.
So
Okay, this song is also called No Brainer. Sorry, I was
No
thinking
Brainer.
about
Oh,
it the
No Brainer,
whole
nice.
time.
yeah.
I was like, I need to figure it out.
out.
So do you still got that video somewhere?
I for sure have it somewhere. Like
sick.
where, I don't know. I tried to find it yesterday actually because I was going through stuff. But I also found this 50 Cent video that I shot with Jeremiah that never
Holy
came out.
frick.
And I was talking about that process the other day actually because it was one of those really wild experiences. Like, you know, Taj was like my mentor. Like I used to edit his videos and stuff like that before I started directing my own stuff.
Oh, sick.
And then
yeah.
we went our own way, and you know, I did my thing, he did his thing, and I got a call from 50 to go meet up at his office to hear this new song. I get there, Taj is there. I'm like, hey, what's up, man? Like, I'm
Oh,
like,
wow.
okay, well, I guess he's having us both right on this, and
that's a crazy little feeling there.
very
Yeah,
interesting
kinda
feeling, you
weird.
know. Like
Yeah.
I was like, okay,
It's like the Spider-Man meme.
cool,
Yeah.
not awkward. And he's like, and so 50's like, all right, cool, we're gonna hop in the car and I'll show you guys the song. And so like I'm sitting in the back seat of the Rolls Royce, and Taj is sitting next to me, and 50 wouldn't give us the song, so he was like, you got to write your idea right now.
Oh my gosh.
So he just basically drove around for like an hour, and I'm on my phone just trying to like write down the ideas, and like, you know, I'm like, do I record the song on my phone right now? Like,
Exactly.
and I damn near might have actually.
Yeah.
But then I had to go home and no, I didn't, because I remember I had to go home and remember what the song sounded like to like finish the treatment.
Yeah.
What?
He ended up picking my treatment
Nice.
to shoot the video, but he wouldn't give me the song until the day of the shoot. So literally, like, I basically had prepped this massive video with my team, built these massive sets and all of this stuff. Jeremiah was there, and it was like this whole thing. Like, I love the video. And he would like play the song beforehand. He wouldn't let anybody have the song.
That's
And-
interesting.
Gosh.
And I think it was like in an interesting time in his career where he was trying to figure out where he was trying to go musically.
Yeah.
And then the video never came out. But actually, it was another one where I had like a room overfilling with water and stuff. It was sick. Like there was so many crazy setups. Like
Yeah.
I look at it now, I'm like, well, I was trying to do everying possible to make that video awesome. So
Yeah.
it was like all these random sets. But yeah, that one never came out either.
It's funny how he was being like that. I mean, it must have meant that he really felt like that song was gonna go, and maybe it did, right? I feel
The
like I
song
remember-
never came out.
Oh, it never came
Oh.
out.
It was called
what?
Girls Go Wild. The song never came out. And I don't really like the song.
Okay, yeah,
So like I think maybe it was either he wasn't sure if it was good or not, but he was like, let me shoot a video and see if it
If it
makes
feels-
sense.
Yeah,
But like,
yeah.
bro, that's the thing, man. It's like what I really respect is when artists care so much about their music that they are able to invest that much money into something and then say, you know what, this isn't right. This isn't
Yeah.
going to actually advance my brand and, you know, take that hit. I think that's a huge, like, you know, testament to how much you care about your art and your brand and all of that. So
Yeah, instead of just like, hey, I already spent this much money on it, I'm just gonna
Might
put
as
it
well.
out.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it
anyways,
out and
like
see what happens.
whatever.
Maybe it'll
Just
hit,
like
you know.
even though you felt differently about
Exactly.
it. Yeah, that it does make a great point. The being and maybe that also adds to why he was also being a little, scary about the song
Yeah.
too. Yeah, but okay, we're gonna wrap it up with the Bay Area hyphy movement. You're in Berkeley. There's a lot of sideshows going on around you. Did you ever go and see one in person?
For sure. I mean, I ended up just buying the stake in them all the time.
I love it.
Yeah, I mean, the sideshow movement was the craziest, and I mean, definitely like just out of curiosity, I'd go up there all the time and go check out the sideshows. But like, there was really a time when I was doing like when I was really doing like Shady Nate and Beta Weeda and all those guys like music videos, and somehow like Shady Nate was like, "Hey, bro, like you gotta like I want to do a documentary. Like, let's just start shooting."
Yeah.
And I was like, all right. And I basically rolled with him for like a week and a half everywhere he went
Yeah.
and saw everything. Like, and literally, like, there would be moments when we'd be going to a show and we'd be rolling in it like literally like a car brigade of like 80 cars. And like all of a sudden they just whip out in the middle of a sideshow and then just keep going and then pull up to the club, you perform and then go all night. It was just so wild. But like, bro, I literally got a gun pulled on me. Like, I got a gun pulled on me, and that's basically when I was like, all right, I'm probably kind of done with this.
Yeah. Talking about at one of the sideshows?
Not at one of the sideshows, but shooting with Shady. Like, literally, like, it was the craziest thing. Like, bro, like, literally, we're shooting in front of the Acorns. I was shooting a video for him. And, bro, I was shooting a sideshow in front of the Acorns. And, had my camera out on the tripod, and bro, a UPS truck pulled up, and the dude hopped out with a gun, and put it right in front of my face and was like, "Yo, put down the camera, like you can't shoot here." Da 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 da. And I was like, "All right, for sure." Like da 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 da. And like started packing my stuff. And it was like Shady was like, "No, keep the camera out." And then all of a sudden they were just in the middle of the street. Shady had a gun to his head, and like everybody pulled out their guns around the neighborhood. And I hop in the Buick and I just like pull down the I bring the seat all the way back, and then like they're still going and it's going for like 10 minutes, and I'm like, bring my seat up. I'm like, "Hey, Shady, I was like, I'm gonna go. So just call me after you guys figure this out." And he's like, no, don't leave. I was like, "I'm out." And I just like still in my seat all the way back. Like I just skirt out, and we finished the video the next day. And then that was kind of like, I think kind of when I was like, yeah, I'm about to take this to LA.
Yeah.
Because it was like the third time like I'd got a gun pulled on me shooting videos in the hood.
Man.
And
Yeah,
that was it. But love to Shady Nate, because he had like literally put me in so many cool scenarios, and I was like really so fascinated with the hyphy movement, and I had never been that close to going to shows like that and being like in the middle of it.
Yeah, and you really got in there and felt that energy. I think that like especially getting to document it in the way that you did,
Yeah.
and just like, I mean, you were right there when Vans was probably being created.
Yes.
Yeah. You're hearing like the rough cuts of stuff. Yeah, which is fire. But yeah, man. Congratulations on all your success
Thank
and,
you,
and
man.
where you've
You
been able
too.
to build everything from right there from Berkeley. Like I said, it's very inspiring.
It's
And
the water.
yes,
It's
sir.
the
Come
water.
on,
It's
let's
the
go.
water in the bag.
Come on.
Nah, this has been so much fun, and man, I have like a million more questions for you, but we're gonna hang out soon. You guys got to come out to Pasadena and come hang out
That'd be
in the
awesome.
Pasadena crib.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you guys. Go check out Colin Tilley. Where can they follow you at?
You can follow me at Colin's Eyes on Instagram, Colin Tilley on Twitter, and then definitely come check out Smiley Electric on Discord, and come check out what we're doing with the upcoming music community and all the creations we're making over there.
Yes, sir. At
to
the
pick
end
an
of our
emoji.
podcast, we normally pick an emoji because what we do is be like, if you listen this far all the way and you got to here,
Yeah.
tweet us an emoji so we know you made it to the end. What's an emoji we could do?
We need the vomit emoji, man.
The vomit
Just like,
one.
this is so good. It's got to make you sick.
Let's
man.
go.
Let's go.
That's perfect.
We're sick with it.
Send us a vomit emoji. 925 podcast. We'll see you guys next week. Enjoy your weekend. Yay!
Yay!